All right, well, let's do this, y'all. We are going to go over weapons today, right? I hadn't had an active lesson plan planned, but I'm sure we can wing something up later. But I'm hoping, I can't imagine everyone here has seen my weapon tier list video. Has anyone seen that video? If you have, raise your hand. Okay, good. Then I'm not going to repeat what's in there because I think a lot, now that I've learned a little bit more and spent a little more time doing some, not science, but research into it, that I have a little different views on things. But I'm going to give you information that essentially jumps you ahead of the meta. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Because not everyone's a gamer, right? Well, right now, some weapons are common in. I'm going to talk about ranked mode. Comp is kind of ended, like Arc is done right now, so everything's kind of in cycle. So I'm really going to talk about ranked mode and not so much comp. Well, comp and ranked. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you about what the meta is now, what I think it's going to be in the next step, and then how you can skip a step. Because the unfortunate truth is that you can't just pick up a weapon after this patch, learn it in game, and then expect to be a pro with it, right? It just doesn't work like that. So for example, what I mean by that is, like, I've been playing this game almost since it came out, right? Like maybe a month came out, and I didn't master like the Sako until a couple months before they nerfed it. Just this patch. And it breaks my heart. But what I'm trying to tell you is some of these guns take weeks, months to learn, and so don't waste your time learning guns that aren't the meta, because you ain't gonna be able to compete. Because the unfortunate truth now is that Arc game style is now typical squads ranked mode. What do I mean by that? You might have noticed all your ranked squad modes are really sweaty right now, right? Yeah? They've gotten harder?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right? And so now you're going to see a lot of sweats. People who only played comp, like myself, come out to squads and ranked, and we're going to be teaming up because everyone's kind of got to now. It's pretty. When I see people like Scanter going in with full squads right now, that should be a sign for you.
Scanter's scary. Scanter's absolutely
yes,
scary.
He is a scary man. He's the best in the world, in my opinion. He's a friend.
He's
and
beatable,
so,
though.
He's
pretty awesome.
But he's not beatable if he's with the squad of 3 and they're trying, okay? But the funny thing is, you might kill him in a public game, and you go, oh, hey, he's beatable, but he wasn't really trying, okay? Because he's just going in there charging. He ain't really, playing serious, right? Tactical.
I think he was with
that.
Username the other night in doubles.
Gotcha.
That was crazy.
So what I'm trying to tell is you really have to up your game in ranked, because everyone's coming back. Like, a lot of people are coming out of comp in a ranked with full squads, with full tactics. You just can't win. And if you do, you got to get lucky, or they have to not try. And so let's get to it. We are going to go over some weapons. I did do some special stuff for today's video. I did have some questions I wanted to answer that I did some little analysis for right before this kind of thing. And so what is the current meta? Well, the current meta right now is the new assault rifles, yes? Everyone's thinking RFB. What is the thought about the RFB?
I like RFB for long range. I still carry the AKM though.
Right? RFB is awesome. Is general consensus, yes?
The
Is what
Val's
I'm
good
hearing.
for long range.
Yeah. The Val's OP, right? Was my first thought as well, yes?
I still don't know how to shoot it.
I don't either. I'm just kidding. So anyways, the new assault rifles, everyone thinks that is the crap right now, right? And that is like meta. And notice everyone's using them, of course, because they're fun, it's new. But the problem is, I actually think those new guns are not going to be meta in maybe 1 or 2 rotations. Okay, what do I mean by that? First off, let's start with the FAL. Okay, so I thought when I first picked up the FAL that this thing was the most OP thing in the world, and my video even says that, right? Now, when it comes down to it, though, it really only does 20-something damage per shot if you hit in the body, because not everyone's going to be every shot in the head. And you only get a second to shoot a good player, so that means you're really only getting maybe 40 damage at best before they build up, right?
Right.
So a good player, remember this and remember this well, does not let you shoot them for more than a second, right? Right. No good player walks in the open like we are standing in the open now and takes a full clip of ammo, right? No one. And so you need a gun that does burst damage. That does damage in a short amount of time. So the FAL, I'll just get to the FAL. We'll start with the new weapons, yeah? And feel free to stop, ask questions about the weapons. We'll go one at a time so I don't get sidetracked. The FAL, I thought was the OP. And you can peek with it, yes. But this game's all about burst, and this current meta is all about burst. So that gun takes 7 shots to kill a build. 1 build. And how many build can you throw out in a second? God, you can throw out like 6, right? And so what I'm trying to tell you is I thought that gun was OP, but it's not, because guess what counters it? The op, right? The op does what? If you get a headshot, it does like 160 damage with the gold, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Why would you use a FAL when you can shoot an op, 1 bullet, go behind cover in half a second, and you did more damage than the FAL can do in like 3 seconds, right? Why? There's just no point. And so the op is currently the most OP gun at the spot. You can use it close range, you can use it mid range, you can use it long range if you are an expert with it at quick scoping, right? So the FAL I thought was OP, it really isn't. And I think people are going to realize that very quickly, and that's going to fall out of existence, okay? Now, new players it's great for, because it gives a new player something to shoot with that doesn't take any skill to learn, at least decently, right? You can at least shoot something good range, and it's okay. But it's going to fall out of meta really, really soon, all right? Any questions on the FAL? If not, now that being said, I think it can still be used, and I think it can still be used in top play if you master it, but I think it's going to take like 3-4 weeks of using nothing but that to be at that level to use it in comp play. Yep. Questions. Yeah. Aiden, I think I heard first. What's up?
No, over there.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Who?
Question.
Where?
Southern Belle, was that you?
Oh, I thought she had her hand raised.
Okay. Creeper, what's up?
Well, my thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say, with the op, for me anyway, the big difference, because I don't quick scope the op, is that, and I do love the op, but you've got a very limited field of view. And with the FAL, you can see everything that's going on around you. So if someone's suddenly coming at you from the side or sighting down on you, you can see them and change your aim.
That's good. That's not wrong. The problem is like no high level player looks through the scope for more than a second, if that makes sense. So like we always quick scope, right? Yeah. Always quick scope, because you can't stand. I never stand still for more than 3 seconds, 2 seconds, honestly. And I have a reason for that, and I'll get to that after I get maybe through some of the new weapons. But yeah, you're right. The field of view is important. But I know good players stand still for more than 2 and 3 seconds and stands in the open for more than 2 and 3 seconds.
That's what I was taught at the very beginning.
Yeah, so it's all about quick scoping and doing it fast, getting behind your hard cover fast. So the op is the OP right now. It got a shot bullet time decrease, as in it hits the target faster, so it's easier to quick scope for a lot of us now, and we're starting to figure that out. And so the op is the OP. It is the god tier weapon right now. The RFB, everyone loves the RFB, right? And we just said that. Now I just realized, not just like today, but just realized the RFB is actually dog water. Okay, why? The rate of fire is 9.5 shots per second. Okay, in 1 second you get 9.5 shots out. Guess what? The AK, I had to ask the devs for this, the developers. The AK is 11 shots per second. All right.
That's
so
why
the AK shoots faster, does the same amount of damage, right? So why do you use the RFB? Well, yes, the RFB has more ammo.
Recoil.
It's easier to pick up the recoil, but the AK you can laser beam. I can laser beam the AK one hand, long distance, one hand.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to pick up the RFB if you spend the time to learn the AK.
If you're used to the AK is still good to have. The RFB, I find it's good third party with long distance, just taking pop shots, instead of spraying the AK using so much ammo.
Yeah, so the AK, the good news is most of the guns in this game, if you don't know, follow a recoil pattern, and it's usually spot on, okay? Like usually there's no deviation in most of the guns. So what that means is as long as you put the time into learning the recoil pattern, you can master it. And I have videos that show you exactly how to do that. Really no excuse these days not to be able to one-hand laser beam or two-hand, which is way, way easier. So you can master the recoil, but it takes maybe 2 weeks to dedicate to just learning that weapon, okay? Give me a second.
From Bogey, come down here, please. Come down here and please stop shooting. Thank you.
So, the, where was it? AK. So 11 shots per second. I like that out of the assault rifles. Now, the MP5. Now, I'm going to talk about the rapid fire assault rifle because this is something I really had to look into. Like, everyone's picking up all these guns these days, and everyone's like, this is the best gun. No, this is the best gun. No, this is the best gun, right? And the funny thing is, it's because all guns got better. The hit scan, we call it, right? Like, bullets almost instantly hit their target. You don't have to lead as much anymore, if at all, right? And so all the guns got a buff. And so all the guns are better, yes. All the guns are usable, yes. And so in my tier list, it's funny because I put everything in A tier because honestly, everything you can kill someone with. And everything is good if you put your time into mastering, which is great. But some do stand out on top of others, right? AK is better than the RFB. MK18 is nice for what it does, but I'd still rather pick the AK over that. M60 has its own little specialty, which is breaking build. We'll talk about that in a second. Now, in terms of the other rapid-fire weapons, everyone's picking up the MP5 and saying it's meta, and I certainly don't disagree with that. Okay, so the MP5 only does 2 damage less than the AK, and it has a 2 shots per second rate of fire increase. The rate of fire is 13 shots per second. Okay, so what does that mean? It means it shoots faster than the AK, and it does a little bit less damage. But the good news is I did the math for us here. Let me pull up an Excel sheet. The AK has a time to kill. I'm assuming someone has 200 health. The AK has a time to kill of 1.2 seconds. You can kill someone with an AK. This is body shots. I didn't even count like headshots. Okay, body shots. You can kill someone in 1.2 seconds with an AK.
Nice.
The MP5 is 1.1 seconds.
Oh, shit. I didn't know
That's
that.
pretty close, though, right?
I've heard about the MP5 doing that.
Roughly equivalent. That's the good news.
That actually makes sense.
That's why I don't pass up a gold MP5.
I'll say it again because this is really important to know because I just did this before we got on here. AK, because I was curious myself because I was like, okay, I know AK is better than the RFB. I don't know if the AK is better than the MP5. So the AK is 1.2 time to kill. 1.2 seconds, 1.22 technically. 1.22 seconds time to kill, assuming 15 damage body shot and 11 shots per second, which is the rate of fire. And you get 200 damage in 1.22 seconds. The MP5 is 1.1 second time to kill with... Oh, it's 14 damage. I'm sorry, it's 14 damage per shot. It's only 1 damage less, is that right? That can't be right. It's 13, isn't it? Is it 14?
I'm pretty sure it's 14.
Someone got an MP5 around here? I thought it was 13, but I put 14 in my chart here.
I have
Anyone
one.
see an
I
MP5?
had an MP5.
Shoot someone.
I have one.
Let's confirm this.
Yeah,
I thought it was
13.
13?
13.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't nerf the damage on it, I don't think.
That's
they just,
gonna
like,
change things. Alright, oh, hey, I might have a different opinion here.
I have noticed
I'm
though,
learning too.
in like
Well,
comp play recently, especially like
It's
PPC
equal!
and stuff like that, you see
It's
so many more
equal.
MP5s.
Slightly.
You're
Slightly
seeing like a lot
equal.
more.
Really
The
cool.
MP5 has a 1.2 second time to it's like we're looking into decimals. Okay, let's just say it's equivalent because if I really like balanced it, it would be equivalent. So the MP5 and the AK have an equivalent time to kill. So which one do you choose? It's preference at that point. Recoil is obviously easier on the MP5, I think, versus the AK, but I'm better with the AK.
Distance.
So it's all preference. That's the good news. Whatever you like, and that's good because usually everyone's gun hogging, right? So if you're in a serious comp game, you're only going to find one of each. So the good news is you can split up and give someone an MP5 and give someone an AK. What's up, Adrian?
How do those two stack up to the P90 though? Because that used to be
We didn't get there yet. Good question.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Let's answer another question. I'll get to the P90. That's
Yeah,
what
sure.
I'm definitely. So yeah, MP5 is good, and so is AK, and they're equivalent, y'all. That's amazing. It gives. I think that's such a healthy meta when guns are equivalent. All right, and that's really cool. Now here's something interesting too. They both break build equivalently, sort of. They both take 7 shots to break a build. And now what's the problem there? The MP5 actually has a faster rate of fire. 13 shots per second versus 11 shots per second on the AK. So what does that mean? That means the MP5 is actually better at breaking builds. Isn't that interesting? So if you had to choose one, honestly, you might choose the MP5. recoil is somewhat easier to master, and you can break build slightly better. So technically in 1 second, you can break 2 build with an MP5, whereas it'll be slightly over is that right? Yeah, slightly over 1 second will be 2 build for, actually more than over 1 second will be 2 build for an AK. So AK got a nerf, it used to be 5 shots per build, okay? So MP5, if you really want to rank it, it's probably slightly better than AK. And that, I actually, that's new for me as of this stream or record we're doing. Any questions on MP5 or AK before we get to the P9? All right, Pete. Yeah, go for it, Jake.
Have you seen a difference, especially, you know, I know PPC finals have started, especially right after the update. Have you noticed, watching comp, a change in the weapon strategy, an immediate change? Because from what I noticed, I saw a crazy number of MP5s when I was just watching the kills going down compared to what it used to be. All of a sudden, MP5. That's
a great question. You know, it's interesting. I was rewatching even Arc Diamond just before I got on today, just to see if I could learn anything. And I think they're still figuring out the meta. Okay, just to be honest with you. So what do I mean by that? They're still experimenting with all the guns. For example, everyone was using RFB, and that I really don't think is the meta. And they're going to realize it too. It's just easier to pick it up, and it's laser beam, right? And I get that. And some people are just going to use it because of how easy it is to aim the first 3 counts or 2 counts of the RFB. But I think once the meta stabilizes, the RFB will be out. Now, that being said, I think the close range has changed. Maybe we'll save the close range for later. I think the assault rifle meta has not currently ironed itself out yet. But I think, like, what we're doing here is going to expedite it. So you might not want to share this info because you'll be ahead of the curve. So I'm honestly hesitant to say the next thing I'm about to say because I have been killing people in comp and it's won me first place in rad duos because of this. So the P90, I think, is the assault rifle to use, and I think that's why in my loadout that I gave to Jakey, it's like in all my builds. I think P90 is good for all ranges, to be honest with you. So the P90, let's look at my little sheet here. Yeah, so let's look at my little sheet here. So the P90, I did my math wrong on this. P90 is 13 damage per body shot. We're looking at a 1 point, hold on a second, let me do quick math right here. Blind since I got 1 point. So the P90, I'm just going to be straight with you. P90 is the gun that I think is straight meta. It takes slightly longer time to kill than the AK and the MP5. Let me get into like a nice decimal here. It is 1.29 seconds time to kill versus the 1.2 on the MP5 and the 1.22 on the AK. So very slightly lower, but that's very slight, right? In terms of time to kill. So it's very close. Obviously it has the extra large clip. The rate of fire, oh my god, that's not right rate of fire here. The rate of fire is 12? No, that can't be right. Anyone got that sheet real quick? The P90 rate of fire. Let's look. That can't be right. I have 12 here. I have the sheet.
I would be able to pull, okay.
Sorry, this is not right math. Oh, I did the opposite. It's 15 rate of fire. No, I was right. Oh gosh, I was right. 15 rate of fire. I just did my sheet opposite. Oh my god, is that right? That can't be right. Is that right? Is it 15 shots per second for MP5? You can double check me on that. Shut up. This can't be right because this means it's better than everything else here.
Right.
This changes literally
Well, I've heard MP5 is...
Yeah, I've been getting killed by the MP5.
I mean, it makes sense because
Oh, yeah.
I've killed people a lot faster, you know,
Pick
with
up that gold MP5, I'll drop the AK.
You know, any other gun that I've had so far.
Well, now, you know, there's many factors, right? Like, it's easy to aim, so you're missing less shots, right? So P90, and I think this math is correct, y'all, 13 shots, 13 damage to the body, 13 damage to the body, 15 shots per second. It shoots slightly faster than the MP5, which doesn't sound right. Let me check that sheet again real quick, just because that sounds too good to be true. Let me make sure that I got the MP5. I'm checking from y'all's thing that you gave me a second. Whoa, MP5 is 14. Oh, no. My math, I'm blind here. I'm sorry. Wow, okay. We're all learning together here. Shut up.
Okay, I would have failed math.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm Asian and I can't even do math here.
Is that the Google sheet that you saw that we sent you? Is that the one you're looking at, the Google sheet?
Yeah, and who knows if that's okay.
I
so
think it's out of
MP5
date.
is 1 point
Yeah.
time to kill, so it is better than the AK. So the AK is 1.2. Am I spamming build here?
Yes,
yeah.
Well, I don't know because I don't see them.
Okay, the
Until I hear them,
MP5
that's for
is
sure.
1.1 time to kill versus the 1.2 time to kill in the AK. So it is slightly better, and it has a slight advantage over the P90. 1.1 MP5 time to kill, 1.1 seconds, versus P90 is 1.03 seconds, okay? So the MP5, correct, does have a faster time to kill. Of course, it has a smaller clip, which is always a limitation, right? But I still think the P90 is better, okay? Why?
It's still the whole clip is 273, right?
What about the P90 versus the Uzis? Are you gonna get to that?
Yes, let's get to
Because
it.
I play with Fabio a lot in comp, and he has
so let's-
always been a P90
like
lover. And he's
Yeah, the
watched
P90.
Uzis.
So let's finish the P90. The P90,
Okay.
first off, has very close. Yes, it lags behind both the... No, it doesn't, right? Oh my god.
It technically beats by like
Oh
0.2
my god, it beats everything! I'm blind, y'all! It beats everything! The P90 is 1.03 time to kill versus the 1.1 of the MP5 and the 1.22 of the AK. So that means damage per second. The P90 is king, assuming you don't miss a shot.
And that's
Now,
the big key, right? That's the huge key.
Yeah! Woo! Cheer for the P90. Now,
It's the
now the
recoil.
main reason why it's meta. The straight main reason why I think this gun everyone is going to be using in every comp game on every team is because of the build break. Okay, why? Assault rifles all got major nerf this patch with the build break. It takes 7 shots for every single assault rifle to break one build. Have you noticed? So what I do in comp is whenever the enemy team's using those new assault rifles, all I gotta do is build. I'm free as a kite. No one breaking my dang build. Right? And so I charge them, and I got my P90. They hide behind their build. My P90 chops through their build, right? Because it only takes, 7 shots to break a build, but you got 50 shots in a clip, and it has 15 shots rate of fire, the fastest out of all the assault. Now, of course, an M60 is better at breaking build, but overall, I prefer the P90, obviously for this time to kill, as well as just a great all-around gun. Easier to use than an M60 in terms of aim, and you can peek a lot easier because of that aim. And so
how long does the AK take? Comparison?
1.2, right?
Seconds,
No, to
which
break
is
the
longer
build?
than
To break the build?
AK has 7 shots to break a build, and it only has
Okay.
11 rate of fire. So it takes
Okay.
2 seconds, a little over 1 second.
Waste
Yeah,
a lot
it's
of
horrible.
time. Okay.
It really
not
hurts.
Yeah,
Now,
no.
pre-patch, what does everyone did? Pre-patch, AK was the main gun. You could run an AK-only build in comp. You could have one AK, roll a bunch of grenades, and you can break through build. You can do everything. You can laser beam. Now the P90 is that new gun. That's what I'm telling y'all. And if you learn anything from today, P90 is that new gun you can main. And why can you use it close range? Why can you use it close range? Because the DT got major nerfed.
Exactly. I mean, I'm still trying to learn that DT. I'm still trying to
and the
control
DT is
that.
not easy. You have to be close. So everyone, apparently there's some secret trick that only the higher-ups know that I'm trying to learn myself because they won't divulge.
Higher-ups.
But, yes, higher-ups. But the DT overall, I mean, unless we can all learn that secret trick, the DT overall got a nerf because you have to be closer because the second shot is random. And is straight random. Yes, there are tricks, and I have masterclass videos to help, but generally you have to be closer than before. And that's not a good thing. Why? Because swords exist, and swords now are the god tier of the close range. My God.
I hate this. Don't
Yeah.
you
One
use the
secret I'd say
Excalibur,
about
though?
the
The
DT that I
Excalibur
think
was
I've
much
been-
better than this crap.
Really?
Yeah,
So-
exactly.
Yeah. So close range, since I just got to it, the sword is the god tier if you can use it. It's not easy to use, obviously.
No.
DT, we have to adapt, as in we have to do more maneuverability and we have to do more peeking. But essentially, the DT is still meta. Don't get me wrong. It's still one of the best weapons in the game. It's just harder to use. And is it worth putting in 4 weeks to learn it when you can, pick up like Matadors? So Matadors, I think, are on equivalent ground. On my tier list, I put them in A tier. But I really think if you put in the time to match them, they might be S tier as well. I think the close range meta is the healthiest it's ever been. I think if you put in the time to learn one of them, you're going to be on equivalent ground with the others. So pick your poison. It's all good. I think that's healthy. That's what happened in Diamond Division last weekend. So I really think it's going to be a healthy close range meta. And it's a healthy assault range meta, kind of, until everyone realizes the P90 is king. All right.
I've also been starting to actually recognize this new trick with the DT11. And that's just, I'm just going to add this in here. It's specifically, I noticed that if, as soon as you flick it, if you were to press the grip button again, then you can immediately two-hand it, and it will be a little bit easier to control the recoil on it.
Yes, there is a problem. Yeah. I've been working on a video for the two-hand, I'll be honest with you, for a week. Because the two-hand, the problem is if you rapid-fire the two-hand, it actually gives you more recoil than the one-hand. They programmed some nasty, I call it bump recoil, but they literally programmed extra recoil into the two-hand rapid-fire. So yes, you can quickly two-hand, but the problem is it gives you more recoil than the one-hand. I'm trying to figure it out, and that's why no one even two-handed it in comp last weekend. But the two-hand will help you if you are using it just for a short 2 shots. But the problem is if you're rapid firing like we do at the high level, it actually increases the recoil, which is crazy. Maybe I do a video on that. What's up, Jakey? Is that a hand raise?
Oh, no.
I haven't figured out the best way yet. I'm still really studying because DT is my main weapon, obviously. But the two-hand, at this moment, what I've learned is that the two-hand is great. So, like, let's say you're side strafing out of a door and you know you're only going to take 2 shots, two-hand it, and then come back in your cover. But the problem is if you fire more than 6 shots, you're going to introduce this bump recoil. And we don't have to do that now because it's going to take a bit of time. But just trust me when I say you can't rapid fire two-hand. But yes, you can take 4 shots two-hand, and that's okay. But if you rapid fire two-hand, you're getting more recoil than one-hand. So you might as well and it's harder to rapid fire two-hand. It takes more skill.
Aiden.
So you might just do the one-hand, shots or one-hand rapid fire. Was that a hand raise, Jakey? I'm sorry.
No, sorry. I was just destroying the build that went up in front of me.
Sorry about that.
No, you were good. So we went over, I think, most of the weapons, right? We covered the close range. We covered what I think the assault rifles are. Now, 1911, I think the 1911 is dog trash right now. I thought it was a little better than it was, and like Sumachi
I kept getting killed with it
but it was like S tier or A tier or something.
I was quite killed with the one.
Yeah,
maybe
the
it was on a hot
1911.
drive, I don't know.
I've learned that it does have like a tad more recoil than it used to, which makes it a little bit harder to use.
Yeah, so
I noticed a good player was two-handing it the other day
Mm-hmm.
when he was
I
yelling.
used to fucking destroy with it, and then as soon as I came into this update,
Can't stand it.
Yeah, Rad Fox. I was playing with Rad Fox.
Cannot stand it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
Yeah, also, I hear a lot of people... Yeah, just real quick, I hear a lot of people talking about the Magnum also being, like, a very good long-range
It has
weapon.
less damage, but it is shooting and more accurately, right?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people destroying with it.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to get the pistols, let's do it. So 1911, I think, is the worst out of all the pistols. There's many, I mean, now don't get me wrong. Like I said, every gun you can kill someone with now because of the hit scan. So every gun got better, but there's no reason to pick it over the others, is my opinion. Prove me wrong, I'm sure you can. The rate of fire is just not that fast, and the damage is not that good. So it's not good at DPS because the PX4, if you look at that sheet, like the PX4 has like a 2 times the rate of fire over the 1911, and the damage is not that different. So that means if you're considering DPS, the PX4 is better, and if you're considering burst, if one shot, clearly the Magnum's better, right? Because if you get a headshot on the Magnum, that thing does massive damage, right? Still, even though it got a nerf. So I think the 1911's in the worst position. Don't get me wrong. If I pick up a gold one, I'm going to use it over like a like a blue something else, right? But overall, it's a worse weapon. Now the Magnum, I think, is meta. Why? Because it's the new Sako. It's straight the new Sako. But
it is.
Overall, it got a nerf to rate of fire, which kind of sucks. So you can't use it close range. Okay, period. Unless you're getting all headshots. Now. It got a nerf to rate of fire, and I was very sad. But Colin V, who is one of the best Magnum players in the world, I know, he's my close friend, he's in WWW. He told me even before this patch came out, because he was in the playtest, like, nah man, like, it got a buff, because the hit scan on that thing is, for whatever reason, it's better than, like, all the other guns, or something. Like, as soon as you press that button, long range, it, like, hits a dang target. For whatever reason, it just seems so much faster than all the other weapons. So what does that mean?
I've noticed flying in air, I can hit with the Magnum better now.
Yes.
Headshot.
So it is a long-range weapon. But you have to aim down sights for it to be like that old Socko. So I am gonna start spending a lot of time into making videos for that, because I think that is the new Socko, and I lost my beloved Socko. So I am not. I don't consider myself a best in the world player at this moment. I did when I had a Socko, and so now I think Magnum. The problem with the Magnum is I think it's really going to take a lot of time to learn. I think it's going to take a month to really be able to use that in comp, like high level play. So what is it's pretty much the new Socko in that if you put the time in to learn it, it's going to be great at what it does, which is the burst poke. But you gotta put time in, which sucks, right? Like when you can just pick up an op and still kick ass with it. So op is still better, obviously, but not everyone on your team can use an op, right? So I think Magnum is the best out of the pistols, but it's gonna take time.
I'm too impatient for the op.
Yeah, the op is god tier. It is the best weapon in the game. Highest damage per second. You know, I mean, if you can quick scope with it, it does. You can't get around it.
Otherwise, then it's the MP5, right?
Yeah.
Or is it the P90?
Oh, I didn't say the M10. The M10 is
nice.
It's definitely on equal ground now, because the DT got nerfed. And so I always used a gold M10 in comp anyways back in pre-patch because it was just more reliable. And you can, if you know how to peek and all that, M10 was still solid. But now gold M10, I'll pick that up maybe over a DT if I'm feeling I just need a consistency, reliability. So gold M10 is certainly usable. The purple M10 has failed me, even though in theory it should be as good. The purple M10 I lose versus Matadors because the DPS on the Matadors, right? So you have to out-peek and outmaneuver the player if you're using an M10 versus the Matadors. Whereas if you're just a ground walker,
I'm gonna
you might just want to use
Matadors.
Yeah, I have noticed that.
That's why I use
I have noticed that the Matadors. I noticed that the M10. It is really good with it's really good with getting off quick damage, but he has to maneuver it. Yeah.
So here's an interesting thing I haven't disclosed to anyone yet. Past patch, I said I did a lot of these kind of things, these coaching things. I always said peek, fly, peek. That is my mantra to you. You should never ever be ground walking ever in your life pre-patch in this game. But now my opinion on that has completely changed because this is a camp-ass meta. As in, it's all campy. You work the hardcover, you stand behind the hardcover, and you work that hardcover like you would in Arc in ranked play now. But not only that, not only is it the playstyle, I think it's acceptable because they have made it so that weapons are acceptable to use while you're ground walking. As in, for example, the Matadors are ground walking weapons, right? Yes, you can fly. Yes, you can quick weapon switch, but you are obviously shooting them usually while you're on the ground. So if I were you, if I'm recommending someone who just can't change their playstyle to a peek, fly, peek playstyle, which I do, then I would say if you're going to play a ground walk playstyle, you have options. You have the op, obviously, which usually you ground walk with. Yes, you can jump shot. But the op you should certainly use if you're a ground walker, and you should also use the Matadors for close range, okay? And you should use the M60 because
what about that?
How do you use the M60
Austin kid? Have you seen him play?
I know Austin, yeah.
I watched him last night in the mixed doubles mixer the night before, and he was building up, and he was just flying up using the op, just banging with it. I don't even understand it. I can't.
Yeah,
I can't comprehend that type of play. I can't. I just don't know how he does it.
We all can. Even you can do it with a Quest 2 standalone. It's just harder, and you have to be a young kid with super fast reflexes. But the trick is most of us are on Valve indexes and PCs, and so it's just naturally easier. I'll just be straight honest with you. But for the older people like me, I had to be on a Valve index to be able to shoot the op like that. I'm 36, if you're curious. But yes, the op is the OP. But the M60, how do you shoot the M60?
How fast?
The M60 overall got a buff pre-patch because it's easier to aim. It's got that awesome square reticle, which honestly helps more than you think it does. You just have to get your target in that reticle box, and you have to somewhat know the recoil pattern to hit like a nice acceptable percentage of your shots. You're not trying to kill people with the M60, and I mean, sure you can if you master it, but the main purpose of the M60 is to break build and keep the enemy team where they are, okay? Why? Because at the high level, the only way to get out of hard cover is to build, and if you can stop them from spamming their build, you're going to keep them in their hard cover for the zone to screw them and for your team to be able to move. As in, it's a pressure weapon. It's not really meant to get those kills.
Yeah.
And so you're keeping them behind that cover, let your oppers on your team get those shots, and you're gravy. That's all you gotta do, really, is the meta, unfortunately. And it's tactical, yes. It's kind of boring, maybe, but it is what it is. That is what I foresee. It's not what's happening yet, all the time, but it will be. I guarantee you, in 2 months from now. All right. Any other questions? I think we covered all the weapons. I think
we didn't cover the Uzis.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Uzis.
Yes,
Uzis. So Uzis I put as A tier because I think they can be meta if you take the time to master them like the Magnum. Okay, it's going to take a long time. So Scanner is like maining them right now, and I was watching him play with them in comp, and I can ask him about them. I feel like, but I think it's going to be one of those weapons. It is possible, but it's going to take a lot of practice, and so if what is it meant for? Well, it certainly has a high rate of fire, so it's going to help you break build because it still takes 7. I did the test. It still takes 7 shots to break a build, but you got 2 guns, and the rate of fire is really fast still. Anyone know the rate of fire for it? I mean, I could check.
Rate of fire for what? Rate of fire for what?
Uzis.
Uzis. I have no clue. I think it's like
9 to 11 shots per second. And that's great because that means you break and build fast, okay? So you're probably, I didn't compare, I'm going to do a video on that, like comparing the M60 versus the P90 and the Uzis, because those are really only your build break options this patch. So the Uzis are good for what they do, which is breaking build. They fail me every time I use them, but that's only because I'm not really good with my left hand. So if you are one of those people that can master it, you're good at shooting with your left hand, I would say they're certainly acceptable. I wouldn't say close range because I tried and I just got murderized, but they can be used. The problem is, and it's only a problem in comp, is that they drain ammo. And ammo in comp is not easy to come by. In ranked, it doesn't matter because you can kill, noobs and they got plenty of ammo. But like in comp, ammo is a big deal. So that's the only reason why I would not consider that. Like that's the only downfall they have, I would say, because in theory they have really great damage per second because 9 damage per shot or 8, I can't remember, it's one of those. And then you got 2 guns, so if you don't miss a shot with a high rate of fire, that's if you double, it's going to beat all the other guns, right? Like in theory. On paper, if I had to do it, it's certainly going to be the MP5 and the AK, like 100%, right? That's assuming you hit 100% of your shots, which is not easy, and you have to ground walk. So if you are a ground walker, I would say that's also an acceptable weapon. Yeah, so the Uzis, do I have any tips for using them? That's too long for this talk. I do have a masterclass video for using them. You can go check that video out. But they will take, like, that video ain't going to tell you how to master it. They're going to tell you how to aim with it. Mastering it's probably going to take it, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks because you're going to have to learn how to build fly. Now, here's something that I did say in my tier list video. I don't expect you to know because it was an hour-long video. But if you have how many of you use standalone here? Quest 2 standalone. You're not plugged into a PC.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's a lot of people
I'm
here.
trying to get a Valve Index. Yeah, I'm trying to get one.
Yeah, Valve Index still amazing. So the problem is, I would not recommend you use those two-handed weapons. Why? Because if you're really going to use those at a high-level comp, you got to quick switch. Like, you got to switch, build, you got to switch, climb, you got to switch, fly, and, shoot. Like, and what happens? It takes, like, a second longer, right? If you have high ping or if you're using standalone, it's just harder. It's not impossible. You just have to adapt. But, I'm just saying it's a wiser time investment if you don't care about which weapon you prefer, like, personally like and enjoy. Then I would spend it in the time, like, I would spend that time wisely in weapons you can master quicker to do better quicker, if that makes sense. Assuming you all don't have 5 hours a day to play.
A Valve Index is... Just look it up.
What I am
the goddess of VR headsets.
It is the best gaming headset you can buy because I have 144 frames per second, which means I see twice as many frames as you do on a standalone Quest headset, which means I can see you coming around the corner faster, in all honesty, which means I don't even have to try to shoot you faster and beat you if you don't have one, and no other high-level player will admit that. Like, I get lazy on the Valve. It's like I don't have to bust out maneuvers and outmaneuver you because I know if you're on standalone, I'm just going to win that fight anyways. And that's sad, honest truth.
Yeah, it really is the sad
I believe
truth,
it.
I mean, I literally can't do PC VR now because I had to do 6 steps and all those 6 steps didn't work to actually get it to work because it's broken. So, Meta's starting to fall for like Oculus. The Oculus
here's a good
it's
tip.
starting to fall.
Yeah. Here's a good
is that why you die without hearing the shots?
The hearing is another story. That's just like game is currently broken. Everyone's complaining about that now. But seeing the shots, yes. Like for example, you turn the corner and then you died before you even saw the person. Well, that's not just that. There's Peeker's advantage, and it's really Peeker's advantage is too complicated.
Yeah, I saw that video.
Yes, I remember you from the CIC, of course, I know you. But yeah, it's Peeker's advantage, which also factors in, the Valve Index, yes. But not hearing, necessarily. But here's a tip I got for you. If you are a standalone Quest 2 user, do not go toe-to-toe, do not duel someone. What did I mean by that? And don't duel someone like me who you know has a Valve Index. Don't duel that high-level player who you are certain has a PC. What do I mean by that? Don't just stand here, turn the corner just like so that person's turning the corner and you know he is, and you're turning the corner and go, I'm gonna win this gunfight. You are not gonna win that gunfight. Okay, straight up. And it's not your fault. I'm gonna tell you it's not your fault. And so what I'm telling you is have to outsmart the person. You have to outmaneuver that person. So if that person is turning the corner, don't stand there. Peek that corner. Just peek this. And then you're gonna win that. You're gonna have a better odds at winning that fight, right? Don't just ground walk versus his ground walk and expect to win. And for example, if you get shot first, don't expect to win that fight. You're gonna lose. If you get shot first, build up and just walk away, heal up, restart the fight. Okay. So what I'm saying is, don't put yourself in that situation to die. Don't rely on your aim to win, especially if you're using Quest 2 standalone, because you will not win unless you outplay them. And that's just the sad, honest truth. Unless you're a 16-year-old kid, which I don't think I hear a lot of 16 voices in this lobby, because you have a super fast reaction time and you know how to adapt to that.
Yeah.
Creeper.
I mean, I'm a kid myself. Yeah. You probably don't even know.
Your voice sounds like older than mine.
I know. I never realized
even though even though I'm 13. You're amazed.
You're not really 13. You can't.
Yes, he is.
But that's not what we don't need to divulge age. I don't want to stop you and stuff. But we are. Yeah, so even then, even with super fast reflex, sometimes if you don't know how to incorporate that into the headset, right, then it doesn't help. But for example, my friend, my boy Syne, Syne, he is an amazing op player that can quickscope just like someone who has a Valve Index, but he is a young kid, and he has these techniques and these skills that you just can't just pick up and learn because he's a smart kid. It's like slick skills. Like when everyone comes up to me and they say, who should I learn from? I say, I personally watch Six Skills. He's one of the most entertaining to watch, right? But you cannot expect to watch his playstyle and learn his playstyle because you just cannot do that. He has these inherent skills. That's why he calls himself Six Skills. You cannot pick up. You cannot devote. If you spend 24 hours a day, you will not be him because he's one of those best people in the world who has those inherent skills that no one can copy. Okay, I'm just being real with you. But other people do have playstyles that you can learn. Good bet. He has amazing skills, amazing reflexes, yes, and he has amazing aim. He uses a Valve Index, though. So if you have a Valve Index, I would say copy his playstyle. But there are... So what I'm saying is playstyles, you should consider your playstyle, consider who to copy. I would say copy Scanter because he used to play on Quest 2 standalone and then he adopted PC, but now he's on Valve Index. But the good news is his playstyle is more strategic in that he peeks and flies and peeks a lot. So I still think it's applicable to a Quest 2 standalone. But now he's picking up, like, now he's just rampaging everyone now that he has a Valve Index. So that's a different story. But if you're trying to get better and you're looking for someone to copy, I don't know if copying me is a good idea because, like, now I am on Valve Index, but I do play more tactically. But copy someone who you can copy. I'm not going to tell you names because, everyone's going to be like, why didn't you name me? That kind of thing. But, like all the streamers. But don't copy people that you just will never be able to copy.
Right.
So, like, yeah, okay. That's all I had to say about it. I don't want, to talk too much about these names. They're going to complain to me later.
No, I think that's really a good point because, like, if you watch Slick Skills videos, like, I sometimes don't even understand. Like, I'm looking at it and I, don't understand how his VR is moving, let alone his body in real life. Like, when you see him moving around and flinging and building and circle and climbing one-handed with his hand just in a circle motion while he's shaking a shake at this. I mean, it's impossible. It's not realistic.
I mean, it's because I think I've from what I've seen so far between people who first play VR compared to people that's played VR a long time, it seems like the more you play VR, the faster your actual, like, eye-to-eye coordination and reflexes get. Just in general.
Yeah,
like, I think VR enhances that.
And it requires it to be at that top level, right? And I've mentioned this in the CIC thing before, but I mentioned my age and people were happy before. So I am not in Diamond Division, just to divulge. I was in Arc until Gold and we were rampaging, but my team just couldn't do the schedule. So if I had to put my skill level, if Red didn't exist, like this was past, before Arc had Red, I would consider myself low Diamond. But now I would say I'm low mid-red just based on the teams that I know are in there. But I ended in Gold. We just could not play. But I am placing top in the duos and the smaller things amongst the best. But what I'm trying to tell you is, like, I'm probably one of the oldest people that can compete against the best. No, do I win against them? Like Cobra? God, no. But at least I'm up there competing against them, like
That's right.
top 8, top 10 in those kind of tournaments. And I'm one of the oldest up there. So if you look at those tournaments I am in with them, I'm probably the oldest person there. What I'm trying to tell you is, if you are an older person, there is hope. Assuming you have a Valve Index. I'm just kidding.
Right.
But assuming you have a PC. You have to be PC VR. I'm just be straight with you.
Yeah.
You have to be PC VR if you are an older person and you're looking to be one of the best in the world. You just have to. And you have to put time in, obviously. But otherwise, that's all I've got for playstyle. If you have any other questions, comments, anything, weapons, playstyles, how to get better, whatnot, let me know. But otherwise, I've got nothing else for us.
And you literally stopped at exactly 7 o'clock, which is weird. Not that we're going to stop right now, but it's just weird how you plan that.
That's funny.
Sorry.
Yeah, that is actually funny. Yeah.
I'm a professor, so I just kind of know what
let me see.
Talking.
Yeah.
See,
oh my
God, that's hilarious.
This has nothing to do with the lesson itself, but I just want to hear an opinion from someone that's used both the Quest 2 and an Index. Compared to which headset, is the lenses smaller for the Valve Index? Because to me, they seem
larger.
Larger field of view for the Valve Index.
Okay.
Yeah, and so when I put on the Quest 2, it's, I have all the headsets that you care about, not the HTC, but I have the Varjo Aero too. And so the Quest 2, when I put on the Quest 2, I feel like I see it in a more narrow scope, but since I'm not connected to a cord because I play virtual desktop or AirLink or whatever, I can look around easier because there's no cord attached to me. So it's like a pro-con kind of thing in terms of visual. Yes, you have a bigger field of view. You have to turn your head more, but it's easier to do that. And so my close range fight, I'm going to be straight with you, my close range and my maneuverability is actually better on the Quest, because if you don't know, on the Valve Index, the controllers are bigger and heavier, and I'm a small guy, I'm 5'4", and so it's, your shoulders might be hurting if you climb and fly a lot now, but if you have a Valve Index, it just accentuates that. So what happens if you get a Valve Index, your playstyle is going to slow down naturally, you might not even know it. But the good news is you can, because you can aim better. And you can.
The thing is with the Valve Index, in other games it is absolutely fucking broken. Let's just take Rec Room for example. No cooldown on the shots, you will kill everybody.
To be honest, it's the same here.
Yeah, Rec Room.
Valve Index.
Yeah, not gonna lie, Rec Room. I don't know how I feel about it. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
now,
good
I'm
for
not
just
saying you
hanging
can't
out,
do well
otherwise,
Quest 2 standalone. Like, there are best in the world players who do that Quest 2 standalone. Biohazard is one of them. But, like, it just takes more devotion, more practice, more physical talent, more cognitive talent, and usually a younger age. It doesn't mean you can't, but it just means you're going to have to work a lot harder at it. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
Any last questions? Otherwise, that's all I got.
Yeah,
that sounds great. Thank you very much.
I mean, is there any way we could do a quick lesson over the Magnum, or do you have like a masterclass video for that already?
Oh man, so the Magnum is one of those that it's all about your aim. And so what I mean by that, so if you've seen my old Socko videos, I have like 5 of them, and if you actually followed that, that was over the course of like 4 months I published those videos. It's because I learned that in the course of 4 months. Unfortunately, I think the Magnum is going to be like that too. As in, you are going to have to... So actually, the cool thing is, I could almost just put the Socko videos out there, and it's the same thing as the Magnum. So if you are impatient, it's literally the same tips. So what tips can I give you now to answer your question? You have to aim with your dominant eye, because one bullet matters, okay? So if you shoot real guns, you always aim with your dominant eye. If you don't know what that means, then one of your eyes is always dominant, usually, like 95% of people. One of your eyes is dominant. If you don't know how to detect that, go to Google. It'll be really quick. And then you're going to aim with your dominant eye. What that means is you can close your eye, but it's usually not good practice to do that. If you're shooting a real gun, you don't do that. You just kind of get used to learn. You can just Google like shooting a real gun. But my first Socko video was essentially teaching you how to shoot with your dominant eye with the Socko and reload it. It's kind of the same thing for the Magnum. If I had to put a first Socko class out, I would say shoot with your dominant eye. Every bullet matters. Peek, aim down sight. You can shoot without the aiming down sight with the Magnum, right? The only reason you should be doing that is if you are peeking so tight on a cover that you don't want to put your head up. And what I mean by that, you can't even see me here, right? Like my head barely, but I could shoot at you with a Magnum, right? And I can actually see your heads. And so that's the only reason you should not aim down sight with the Magnum. But otherwise, you should always be aiming down sight in this current patch. That's my short tip advice for you. Otherwise, it's just going to be a lot of practice, and it's going to be a lot of quick aim, kind of like quick scope. You know how you quick scope the op? You can quick scope the Magnum, and I used to do it with the Socko. I can do it with the Magnum. So as in, I can literally stare at director's head here. I can have my arm down to my side, and I can quick draw like I'm in the Wild West, which is my clan.
Right.
I can literally... Yeah. Headshot 85% of the time. As in, I'll just point, shoot, I don't even look, I don't even aim down the sight. My brain doesn't even cognitively register the sight dot on his head, and I will hit him in the head. And I can do that at range. And that just took months of practice with the Socko, and the good news is that skill transfers over to the Magnum. So it's going to be one of those that you just have to master like over many training sessions in the training part. But yes, it can be used. But yeah, I would honestly tell you master the op, because it's going to take you less time and it's a better gun.
yeah, because not only do they nerf the damage on the Magnum, but they made it slower, so it doesn't really have much of a purpose now until
it's the peak
they do something.
and the poke. It's only the poke weapon.
I'm forced to do a challenge with it.
It's the poke weapon. It is the long-range poke weapon now, and that's its purpose. It's not like before you could go in close range and honestly do well with it. I wouldn't do that unless you're desperate now. So yeah.
Yeah, because it's just that randomized new recoil control thing that they have out now for the DT. I don't know if they have it for the M10, but
the Magnum is not random. That's the good news. The Magnum is not random. Nope. Wait. Yep, not for the aim down sight at least. It maybe be for the crosshair, but I really don't think it is. I still think it's pretty much precise.
To me, it kept on bouncing to the left and right when I was trying
you might have to wait for the sight to come down or all the way above, but I think it's still precise. Yep. What's up, Nick?
Hey, Pink. I don't know if we talked about the PX4. I know you talked about all the handguns in general, but not specifically the PX4. I think the PX4 is a solid gun. If you look on paper, like in that spreadsheet that was shared in this Discord or this group, if you look at the math is stupid. It's actually better than most guns, especially if you get headshots, especially if you have a gold.
To be honest with you, I think it could be used as a main weapon. I just haven't put the time in to learn it. But on paper, it looks like the best weapon in the game, and that's why people were joking about it in the playtest.
Yeah.
But the problem is, it is not a burst gun. And what do I mean by that? It's a gun that does great damage on paper if I sit here and do paper math, but in reality, you only get half a second or a second to shoot someone, right? So you're only going to get 2 shots off on them before they get behind cover, right? And they come out with some other gun that has a burst, like an op, and you get shot in the face for 180. So great, you hit him for like 50, 60 damage with 2 shots, but you just got in the shot in the face for 160, right? So it's like, it's a great gun that I'm sure if you decide to put time into learning can be used in certain situations, but you have to peek. What do I mean by that? You have to peek with it. And these days, since everyone can quick scope and shoot heads so much more precise with an op, peeking is a lot more dangerous now. This is actually a really important thing to go over, maybe. Peeking used to be almost, I don't want to say invincible, but only the top players knew how to counter peeking in the pre-patch. Now, ops are just so disgusting because they can quick scope and the bullet shoots so fast that before I could get my head down behind cover before that bullet hits me against an op. But now, like, you can really get shot in the face a lot easier with an op, so peeking is a lot harder. So what does that mean for the PX4? That means that consistent damage weapons are really going to be phased out of the meta over time, but that doesn't mean you can't use it. Like, if you sat here and I sat toe-to-toe with you and used pretty much any other gun, and I had a gold PX4 and I shot you in the head, and you had some other gun, I would pretty much win if I shot it as fast as possible and hit all headshots. So on paper, it's an amazing gun. And I'm sure you can use it if you master it, but is it worth it? Yes, maybe. But I would say you would have to spend your time. And I think that's why this meta is so exciting. So if someone asks me what my opinion is on the meta, I think it's healthy, and I think it's exciting because you have to put months into mastering a weapon. Sure, you can be proficient, but you really got to put like months into mastering unless you play 10 hours a day. But like, if you do put that time into mastering a lot of these weapons, it's going to be rewarding, and I think that's exciting. So great job, Big Box. They did fantastic. Pat on the back for them. So yes, the PX4 is awesome, I think. But is it going to be like used in comp? Probably not. Maybe, if someone sees a gold one and they don't have something better. But do I think it's going to be one of those they pick over like, an op? No. But maybe. Good
all
question.
right.
This was great. Thank you so much for answering all of our questions. We really appreciate it. And for those who don't know,
this game. One quick question though before you go.
Yeah, please.
How do you? I've seen your videos on the AK. How do you reload in one movement?
That's just practice over time, my friend. I just maybe I need to put a video on that in the second video. But it's really
do you press? Like with your left hand, do you press, release, press again? Like to grab both?
Yeah, it's just really fast.
Okay.
It's just really fast. Yeah, but it's really one motion. It's one movement of my left arm, but it's just, I click really fast.
It's the left-armed, it's the left-handed people that really kind of struggle with, trying to learn it more because,
for sure.
Because, like, you try to mirror it because we naturally learn how to mirror things, with, like, the real-life kind of right-handed stuff that we use. And therefore it's kind of harder to, figure out it because, we got to technically do the same exact, because, if you have the right-handed recoil, like the recoil control used on the left arm, we try to mirror it, and it,
that's tough in real life too, I'm sure. I'll leave you with this. This meta is all about smart, efficient use of time. Because the top players what are they doing? They're actually spending hours in the training park. They don't tell you and they don't show it, but they're spending hours and hours and hours in the training park. Why? Because they're trying to get ahead of the meta. So for you who don't play 15 hours a day, because a lot of us have jobs and family and whatnot, you have to use you have to use your time efficiently. Like wise use of time, because you will not be able to put that time in and they will be ahead of you. So you pick your master weapons, your weapons to master those weapons, and then when you can compete, then learn the others, right? But focus on the weapons, because unlike the last patch, where everyone knew what the meta was, and the meta didn't change for like 8 months, really. Now, this is a brand new meta, and it's going to be with us for probably, 6 months, 7 months. So, the sooner you learn it, the sooner you'll be able to, stay on top, because ranked is getting sweaty, and it's still getting sweatier, and it's going to get sweatier and sweatier and sweatier once the ranked, the high-level players realize they all have to come in with full squads.
Yeah, just real quickly, Jakey, do you know if anybody's recording this other than me? Because I just wanted to know. Okay,
I am
good.
too.
Because I just now noticed my recording just randomly stopped for no reason. So.
Yeah, no, we're good.
Yeah, no, cool. I learned something in this today, especially about the weapons. Keep going.
Specifically, Jakey, you're recording, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just to make sure you're okay. So, just real quickly, PinkPWNAGE, can you just do like a review of the weapons just for the recording?
Yeah, I was actually
quick review of all the good ones.
I forgot.
Yeah.
P90 on paper. I'm even looking at my sheet here. P90 on paper has the fastest time to kill out of all the rapid fire weapons. P90, 1.03 seconds. MP5 is right behind it with 1.1 time to kill. AK is right next to that at 1.22. RFB is 1.41, and I didn't even bother with the CX4. But or the M60. That's the rapid fire weapons in order. So in terms of rank, P90 is the best, and obviously it's the best for build break of all of these I just mentioned. The MP5 is second in line. I think the reason why everyone's saying it's amazing is because it's just easier to aim, and I still think it is one of those you will pick up in comp and use in comp just because of how easy it is to aim. But it is second best. It does break build, 2 build per second, because it has a rate of fire of 2 shots per second, so that's still really good. So it's still on par with the P90 in terms of build break, but the P90 has a greater clip, so you're going to break more build overall because you have to reload, and every second matters, right, with the MP5 and the small clip. So what does that mean? P90 still stands on top by quite a bit. AK is great. Sure, I still use the AK, honestly, if I see a purple one. And honestly, I'll still pick one if I have a white one. But the build break is really where it falls off. And all the other guns I did not mention are even worse. All assault rifles have been nerfed in terms of build break. And that's why the current meta right now, as you see, is all assault rifles. But it will rotate. It will rotate to everyone realizing that build saves your life. That will be meta stage number 2 in ranked. And then meta stage number 3 is going to be this weapons I mentioned today, where they're going to realize you just skip to the guns that break the build, and everyone will die. Okay, so if you learn the weapons that break build, and what I just mentioned today, if you master the P90 today, you'll be ahead of the curve. And so I say pick up the P90, because no other gun breaks the P90 and kills just as well as it. Straight out. Maybe the Uzis do, but that takes, honestly, the Uzis might be just right there with the P90, if not better, if you were in a guru, like you miss no bullets at mid-range, right, or even long-range, and maybe Scanter will get there, but, how many are you actually going to be able to do that? Maybe, but it is possible, but Uzis could be viable, but they will drain your bullets, and in comp, that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if someone else on your team's using a P90, which takes a lot of ammo too. And then pistols, Magnum is the king in terms of burst. PX4 is better in terms of consistent damage. 1911 is dog water. And then close encounters, everything's good. You can choose any of the close encounter weapons, and you can master it, not just be proficient, and you will be successful. There were questions, there were hands, I saw. That was my summary.
Yeah.
Great.
Wonderful summary.
Tips for keeping like the op stable, because with my hands, I just can't.
You must have offhand influence on something.
No, it's completely off.
Oh, okay. What device are you using?
It says my dominant hand is just really shaky naturally.
What device are you using?
+2 with connected to a PC.
Yeah, when you have higher frame rate and you're connected to a PC, it becomes, and you have a higher resolution, it's harder to stabilize. I usually hold my elbow like a 90 degree, but now you have to hold it a little higher, because now they changed the op, right? You pretty much almost have to hold it eye level, not quite. But so I hold my elbow in inwards. My right elbow, which I use to anchor it. So I'm anchoring my right elbow to my body to stabilize. And for the really long distance shots, this is the tip Sign gave me that I was going to release in a video in the future. He actually anchors his right hand on top of his left hand. Like this, if you can see. Like for the very like 4 scope shots where the guy isn't moving and you need that headshot. And so I would say you have to practice that in the range, because I just tried to do it and it didn't work for me. You have to practice that. That is a good question. Yes, that is my answer to you. I think that's it.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, once again, thank you so much for all of this information. Of course, this will
go
online.
Yeah, this is going to definitely start. This is definitely going to start building up, you know, the new update to where it'll be more competitive. Because
the top players don't want to tell you all this stuff I'm telling you, to be honest with you. And so what am I going to do right after this? I'm not even going to play public games there. I'm just going to go in the training park for a couple hours. I'm not even joking. That is my plan for today.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, once again, thank you so much, and everyone here, we'll be sending out some information sheets that have like sort of a bunch of different individuals, but of course Pink's one of them, and their preferred loadouts. So it's a really cool info sheet, and Pink, if you wanted to change anything after re-looking at the stats, just let us know. But we'll send those out in a couple of days so that you'll have some great information, and this video will be posted as well.
Cool. Yeah. All right.
Great. Yeah. But you know what? We should probably take Pink's advice on waiting before we post the video, so we can learn this before everybody else.
Absolutely.
Hey, I'll leave you with one last tip. If you really care about loadouts, here's the last tip for you. The shield shakers are more important now because the meta is so campy. And grenades are less important because everyone's long distance now. Why? Because everyone has better long range aim, and hit scan's a thing. So grenades are honestly less useful now until you get to the nearer end zone stages. So you really have to pick up double shield in the beginning of some kind usually, and then pick up your nades mid game. That's an extra tip.
Ready?
I really didn't even think about it. Yeah,
that's a really good point.
All right, y'all.
I forgot to do the top.
Good luck, y'all.
Thanks again, Pink.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Yep, thanks, Pink.
This was awesome.
Yep.